heading west towards Summit Lake, somewhere around mile 21 or so, coming up to the summit on the Port Alberni Subdivision Railway. Here I am coming to the summit of the railway. Here's Highway 4 beside me. There is a nice noticeable hill on the railway itself, a nice climb. Obviously nearing the summit of what the railway calls Loch Arkaig, what I'm calling Summit Lake. The railway grade is very moist here. A lot of dampness from just the rain and a damp covering of old leaves from the fall. And there will definitely be some squishy spots. This is my third time coming this way in the last year, so I have a familiarity with it now. Where the hazards are, like this windfall I just went through. We'll come out of this curve and find the mile 21 sign, and then we'll come along Summit Lake, and then eventually the trestle that crosses the lake. And it's a very pretty trestle. I've been enjoying the view, my photos, ever since I've been here a couple times already. By the way, I really like this rock cut that I'm in. Something about being in a canyon I just really like. Here I am coming up to the mile 21 marker, and just such a lovely rock cut with the moss and the sunlight touching it. Nice. Here's the squishy part of the walk. Lots of, you can hear that, lots of squishiness between the rails at mile 21. And all that squishiness with some good soil in there is going to give us a bit of an island corridor jungle in the springtime and summertime with weeds here, unfortunately. Here's a windfall at mile 21 that's obviously come down since the last time track maintenance vehicles were allowed to be here. This is right on the rail. I'm coming up to the trestle at Summit Lake. I love this trestle. It's it's pretty nondescript for the structure. It's just a timber pile trestle, I think, across a very shallow part of a swampy lake. But the scene is so pretty. This is where I want to linger for a while. It's nice to have places to go to where I know I feel peace and joy and happiness, and this is one of them. Approaching a place of familiar beauty. That's a good thing. Last time I was here was on a clear October night, and I was doing star photography from this trestle. That was tranquility of its own kind. This is the timber pile middle trestle at the swampy area between Summit Lake and Loon Lake. This is the longest trestle on the Port Alberni Subdivision. Yeah, nice little tree. But it is time to peek inside on this one between a couple of the timber pile structures. Canadian Railway Historical Association East End Track Gang has a web page, and the cover photo is this scene right here, looking eastward at the long trestle. And it's just gorgeous. Nice reflection happening today. Lots of water in the swamp area relative to summertime. What a beautiful spot. Right behind me is the start of the Aerosmith Siding. And that siding goes from this trestle all the way to the next trestle at Loon Lake. Switches here at the east end. And it's important to me for the simple reason that when the East End Track Gang was allowed to maintain this area, that siding was clear, site clear and clear of obstruction, and now it's all overgrown. Here's a side angle, again looking eastward. The loveliness of the reflection and the timber pile trestle. What a lovely scene. Okay, there's the long trestle. The long trestle, by the way, is in kind of poor condition with some of the ties. There's a few really squishy ties that you can sort of sink down into. They're almost ready to break through. And now we're walking westward at the Aerosmith Siding. The switch. Again, this siding was clear a few years ago when it was allowed to be maintained. I had it all cut back. If I keep talking like this, I'll just get angry. There has been some trimming through here, but it's because of a trail. People that use this area. There's a trail that goes through there. Coming back here. The unknown siding. Siding. Let's work our way through here. Okay, let's see what it's like to walk the siding. I think I'll call this stretch of siding Graham Bruce Way. So I'll walk through the overgrowth. I'll go around that. That's the look. Let's go back to the lovely main line. Back on the main line at Aerosmith Siding, coming up to Loon Lake, where there's one more lovely little trestle. I think I'll go back to the siding again. See if I can stay on for this stretch. There are people fishing on the lake. And a bit further west, let's check out the siding again. Yeah, not much happening there. Not much happening there. In the summertime, that broom would be pretty tick infested. Not going near that. And we're coming up to the end of Aerosmith Siding at the west end. Find the switch in a second. Let's head on back to the siding one more time. The overgrowth wins this time. Here we are at the end of the siding with the switch and the trestle. Oh my, lots of vehicles parked at the lake here. It's a busy day. Here I am crossing the long swamp trestle again, this time heading eastward on my way back on my out and back hike. I'm going to note some of what I call the squishy ties, kind of like this, where it's just some movement in it. This one too, you step on it, there's some movement. See? Which leads me to move my path so I'm over top of the stringer on this side. Much more safe because I'm not going to fall through if a tie breaks on me. And there are some that could very well break. I'll show you those in a few moments. Here's a spot where a broken tie is covered up by some plywood, presumably for someone going across on a bike or ATV, which just further compounds the problem, but I digress. I'll take a look at my step here first. Coming up to the spot that's been flagged for some bad ties to avoid, so I'll show those. Here's one of them. I'll show you why. Carefully. Here's the tie to my foot. Some movement there. Here's another bad tie. Put my foot on it. Yeah, it moves. Coming up to one more. This is the one I refer to as squishy. Yeah, it moves. So you'd go through there with a bit of weight. So this is starting to follow in the ways of Cameron Lake. I like this area because it's so beautiful. I'm walking eastward between the Long Trestle and Summit Lake. The sounds are beautiful. I love this area. That is a beautiful rock cut that I'm in. Coming up to Summit Lake. You can see the old pilings down below. You can also see my reflection down below. And that's it for Summit Lake for me for this session. It's the third time I've been here in the last year, and I've loved every time, and I'm sure I'll be back. It's a nice walk. It's a nice tranquil place. I'm walking eastward at mile 21. Really close to Highway 4. It's a squishy area. Very moist. Lots of water on the side of the track where there's a ditch. And I'm in a canyon rock cut. What a nice curve. I can only imagine a train coming around here. Oh, what a beautiful rock cut this is. Loveliness. My, it is so lush around here. The idea is just looking at all the growth that just surrounds and covers the rails. Very much a rainforest. There's a lot of standing water on the side here. In this rock cut canyon at the summit. Heading down grade now. Eastward. Going to use my personal dynamic braking. I don't really know what that means. Such a beautiful area. The rails are completely covered by grass, almost completely, as I come out of the rock cut. Very squishy in between the rails. Time for another year of island corridor overgrowth.